This presentation is a Valley AMA, American Marketing Association presentation. It is a presentation that will be on how to effectively communicate your personal brand on LinkedIn. And Valley AMA, for those of you who are maybe just first time hearing about who we are or have heard of Central Virginia AMA before, essentially our mission is the same. We're just a subchapter of Central Virginia. We are primarily membership located in the Shenandoah Valley, so that would be primarily for us, our attendance comes from Harrisonburg and Stanton. We've had some interest from some folks down in Lynchburg, and we have some attendance occasionally from the Central Virginia, Charlottesville, Seville subchapter, Seville AMA. Now, our goals that we've written out for Valley AMA, I just want to let you guys know what it is so you can keep up on future events and activities, is to bring Valley marketing professionals together to collaborate and leverage our best practices. That's an example of what we're doing today. We also want to provide educational and business development resources from a marketing perspective to the community. That is more direct to if anybody on this call is not typically a marketer, we are trying to reach out to the community to help give them the education and the strength and tools that they need to do their job better. And last, we're promoting personal brand and how that affects all business, which also plays into today's goals, which are to talk about LinkedIn and your personal brand. We have two speakers today. We're going to keep this pretty short, and our goal is to be around 20-25 minutes tops. Dick Halterman, he is a mergers, acquisitions, and valuations expert for Murphy Business Brokers. Dick, I've heard him speak before, and I really enjoy his personality. He's going to present on what a personal brand is, and I think he does a really good job at that. He's only going to have a short amount of time to talk today, but if you certainly want to follow up, he loves to talk about this kind of thing. Also, Ryan Chandler-Dovis, she's a marketing specialist for VBS Mortgage in Harrisonburg, and also for Farmers and Merchants Bank, which is a regional bank. Ryan's going to be providing the article review. Also today, just from a facilitating, Holly Thorne. She works with Ryan at VBS and Farmers Merchants, primarily Farmers and Merchants, and she's going to help us with the question and answer kind of period. So you'll see in your window, in that GoToMeeting bar, you can actually leave a message. You can type a question. And so we'd ask you to think about that. And if something comes up during the presentation, to go ahead and leave that question. And Holly's going to grab a few of them and try and put them into some order and give us some context, and we'll talk about them when we get to the end of the article review that Ryan gives us. And I'm William Roy. I am the Web Accounts Manager for Emerge Technologies Web Design Company in Harrisonburg, and I'm also the chairman of the AMA for Valley AMA. So we look forward to getting started with you. We're going to talk about the core values and culture brief. I'm going to pull that up, but I'm also going to mute myself and turn on Mr.
There we go. I'm unmuted. William has set me free. As William said, I've got to be brief, and that's a very difficult thing for me to do, those of you that know me. But they asked me to talk about personal branding and in effect, how LinkedIn and those two can relate. And even in a bigger sense, from a macro sense, representing a franchise, how do I have a personal brand that goes with that franchise? Personal branding is the practice of people marketing themselves and their careers as brands. It's essentially the ongoing process of establishing a prescribed image or impression in the mind of others about an individual, a group, or an organization. Personal branding often involves the application of one's name to various products or services. So yes, I did read that, but I thought it was a very good explanation of really what personal branding is all about. LinkedIn, for a fact, is probably promotes personal brand more than any other thing that it does well. And for me, the whole idea of being a representative of a franchise and providing a service, sometimes we tend to think of brands as products, at least conceptually. But the brand also is who we are and what we do and how we act. So sometimes it's difficult to think that a service organization like ours and like attorneys and CPAs and financial planners and those types of people were really promoting a brand. I guess it took me a couple years to realize that what my real brand was and who I was, the identity of our company and me. And that articulated itself one day, or it came to me in a vision after dealing with a client that I decided I didn't want to do business with. And this document that William has up on the screen, our core values and culture, was the product of that, or the result of that meeting. And now I use this document every single time. Many apologies for that phone. I'm going to reach on. I don't know how to stop it. Okay. So anyway, just another that just proves how good my branding's working. The phone's ringing off the hook. Anyway, what I wanted to do was foster a trust relationship with my clients, and I felt the best way to do that was to write down, input in writing what I believe. These are my core values, and every time I meet someone for the first time around, I try to make sure this document gets in their hand immediately. I always take their email address, or I drop this in the mail to them. So this really identifies who we are, and we try to live this out every single day. We kept it brief, but we make sure it's out there in front of everybody's eyes, and it's the first thing that is communicated from us. Let me just say, because I'm going to wrap up, I don't know that we need to spend a lot of time on this particular document, but it does identify who we are. And I used LinkedIn, oddly enough, to promote this document. I can also refer people to it when we're talking and I don't have a chance to email the document, but I think it does talk about who we are. And I also, as far as LinkedIn is concerned, use that medium to promote other things like testimonial videos and whatnot. And I know Ryan's going to get into all of that, so that's not my department, but that's how we got to where we are with our core values and how we promote them with our clients. Are you going to take them there, William?
I was working on that just to kind of say
it's there,
but just to show you what he meant when he said that it's updated on there. You'll actually see that he shares the files because you can actually do sharing of files on LinkedIn. So that's all I wanted to just make sure everybody had a clear understanding about. I'm going to mute Dick and myself, and Ryan is going to talk about the article, and she's also going to have the screen controls in just a second. And I'm going to unmute. And now you are becoming the presenter.
Well, hi, everybody. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk to you today. I'm just going to wait one second. There we go. I've got my screen up. Here's the article that we are summarizing in today's presentation, LinkedIn and Your Personal Brand Plan. These articles are available on the AMA website when you become a member of the AMA, regardless of which chapter you belong to. The first thing that this article really pointed out to me was that each of us need to identify our goal with our LinkedIn page. And there are several different possibilities for that goal, and they will help structure how we organize and set up our page. So you might be wanting to look appealing to job recruiters. Maybe you're looking for a job or you're considering a career change. You might be looking to increase your credibility within the industry that you work, or perhaps you're looking to grow your professional contacts. Regardless of what your goal is, identifying it, and then beginning to build your page based on that goal. As we work through this article, I've got up here Andy Van Hook, who is another member of our Valley AMA Board's LinkedIn page. So we're sort of going to go through and evaluate his page as a way of responding to our article here. So one thing you might notice right off from Andy's page, I'll just point to it here, is that he chose a very humorous photograph. And you might wonder why someone would do that in a professional setting. My guess is that Andy has identified that his ideal client relates more to somebody who has a real personality. So he's looking to portray his personality through his page. Coming down on here, Andy has used the summary very effectively to outline who he's looking to connect with. So we know what his goal is. His goal is to increase his credibility and connect in particular with these people, so event planners and associations, marketing directors, businesses and business owners, and so on. He's really stocked this summary full of some keywords that he wants to be for, such as marketing video. But it also reads nicely, so it reads like a person's going to read it, not a computer, and that is important. Moving on in the article, one thing that the article really hones in on is the necessity of using your LinkedIn profile to not only talk about what you do, but to talk about what you want to do and to be selective about the words that you choose to represent yourself. And this is an area that Andy could probably use some work in. You can see down here he's identified several skills, many skills, but my guess is that Andy, who works for a video production company, very much wants to be found for video production, advertising, marketing, marketing strategy. Perhaps not as much for blogging or Facebook. Though those things might be important, I don't think that they're part of Andy's long-term plan with LinkedIn. And so sometimes taking some of those things out might help you find that your page becomes more effective. And that's a lot of what they talked through in this choosing your keywords wisely segment of the article. It also just identifies that with LinkedIn and with personal branding as a whole, you get to be the CMO of Brand You. You get to identify what you want to be known for and how you want people to relate to you. And LinkedIn is a great platform for accomplishing that. So considering not only the dry rundown of who you are and what you do, but why you do it and what you want to be doing. And then the other thing that Andy has done really effectively on his page is he both has given and received many recommendations. So one way to receive all these recommendations is, of course, to recommend others, and they will reciprocate. 31 recommendations on his current position. That's great. That means if I'm going and searching LinkedIn for credible video producers, Andy comes up, I know that he has done a good job across the board, and many people are willing to step forward and say that. That's going to hugely sway my decision making in hiring Andy. He also has identified all of these great organizations that he volunteers with. A lot of times we find that we meet our best clients through the work we do in the community and the connections that we make. In fact, we know that success in business increases dramatically through connection. So LinkedIn is a place where recruiters or perhaps people looking to hire someone can go, they can look at their connections. They have a very transparent way to see if you have a connection in common and then use that person to give a face-to-face recommendation, which can be very powerful. And some of the ways that they might do that are to search the organizations that you're a member of that you highlighted. But as you go down even his past jobs, he has recommendations attached to his profile. So that's a real way of saying, I am credible, I am the person that you want to hire for this job. That's about it. It was a short and sweet article with a lot of great information. I hope that you have enjoyed reading the PDF, and I appreciate the chance to talk to you all. And now I am going to wait for William to switch us back over.
Yep, I'm back for the audio, and I'm going to make Holly the screen that we can see and unmute as well. Holly, you're about to get a request to make you the presenter because she is going to have up some questions. We've got one or two that we prepared in case we didn't have questions from you guys. And so we've got that going on to see if there's any other questions down in the questionnaire box. Holly, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Here, as William said, here's a few questions to get us started. The first one is, what's a good first step to building a profile? I believe Ryan is going to answer that one.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I need to unmute Ryan. Yeah. Wait, she's unmuted. You're good. You're there, right?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, unmuting is definitely important for answering a question. So when we thought of this question, that really the number one piece to building your profile is that piece that we spoke of in the very beginning, identifying your audience or goal. That will help you know who you're writing to, how to appeal to them, and what words to use to catch their attention.
Thank you, Ryan.
I think that's good. You know, one of the other things I really liked was that the messaging style, the way Andy used it on his page, it really pushes and says, I'm this is who I am. So you have to kind of know yourself before you can even build a profile of who you want to be. So I think that's a good piece of it. And one of the other nice things
Absolutely.
is in the summary, you can actually incorporate, Andy did this with a video reel, because you can now connect files and documents and YouTube links. So you can actually put some resources there for a period. It'll stay there. You may need to check what you've left up there for a while, but Dick has that core document there. If you want to read more about me, it's right here for you. So yeah, that's just another value add. YouTube videos you can link in. You can link into some other different tools to present information right there in the summary.
And William brings up a strong point to site or social media atmosphere, making sure that your information is up to date and relevant, posting about things that you want to be found for, and of course, as Peter has just put in the chat box, making sure you include those visuals that William talked about, link to your projects, etc., is a way to gain more clout with using your profile.
Yeah,
definitely. And those points all kind of lead into the next question of what are some examples of successful personal brands I could look at for reference. Well, using LinkedIn, you can go through and identify industry leaders in your profession or personal role models. You can use the LinkedIn influencers page, and you can find lots of people that have developed a great deal of content. Like, for example, one of my personal role models is Richard Branson. He's the founder of Virgin Group Airlines and a host of other companies, as sure most of you are aware. And while his profile is kind of sparse looking at it, you see that he's an influencer because of all of this content that he's generated. And by consistently and creatively sharing his personal and organizational goals, he's developed a really strong and well-known personal brand that's also carried over to Virgin Group and arguably made it what it is today. Since we're not all Richard Branson, for ways that we can do this ourselves, to start, you may want to just step back and think, and further to Ryan's point and William's point earlier, what do you wish for people to associate with when they think of you, aka your brand? So you have to start there, identify what's unique about you and your brand, and what you want to let the world know, essentially. Other ways that you can cultivate your personal brand are joining groups on LinkedIn. What school did you attend? Is there an alumni newsletter you can contribute to? Are there hidden opportunities available within your company, or a guest post that you can contribute to create content to get your information and your personal brand out there for people looking for that information? That leads us to our next question. Do I really need a picture? If so, how do I choose one?
Now, let me jump on that because I have a personal hang-up with folks that try to friend you or make you a connection, and they don't have a picture when they send that out to you. I can't think that you'd be a serious LinkedIn person if you would accept folks like that. It's hard for me to do it. I just don't think they're taking it serious if they're not willing to put a picture. That being said, make sure the picture, I think Ryan alluded to this a little bit about Andy's picture with a smile on his face, but I kind of like that too. If mine has a kind of a smirky smile on there too, and I guess we both, and Andy and I are really good friends, so it must only make sense that we enjoy life and like to show that we have fun. But the point I was going to make is don't make sure the picture you put on there is a facial shot, so it's close enough to your face that people can identify you quickly and know who you are.
Thank you, Dick. It looks like we have some more questions coming in. The next one, whichever speaker can take it at their liberty.
I have a thought on that.
Great, go ahead.
It's funny about it. That's a great question, and I often thought for a long time that was LinkedIn just a joke? I always thought it was kind of poorly assembled, but I think as time has gone on, it has gotten much, much better than it was originally. And I question even in my own heart the value of it. I was probably one of the early ones on it. I will say this is what happens for me. My business is highly confidential, so sometimes people like to snoop, I guess, on me first. What I have found is that it tells you, I forget how many, unless you're a premium user, it tells you like 3 or 4 or 5 people, whatever, have been looking at your profile. Oddly enough, like a week later or 2 weeks later, the phone rings and it's that person. So I've got to believe people do look at this. If they want to check you out, I think they do their homework, and at that point it becomes very important that you're on there and visible. I don't know what anybody else has to say, but that's my thought.
For sure.
Definitely. Just to add to that, there, I think this kind of backtracks a little bit too. That it actually gives you some suggestions on how to improve your profile. So if you just use the interface a little bit, it'll keep suggesting to you things that you should add. It'll ask you questions. What did you do when you were a part of this nonprofit? Or how did this work? It's very good at kind of pulling that out of you. So if you spend some time with the tutorial, you can actually build it up. And there's been a lot of things added that you can put into it now. So don't just always, when you come back, hit the skip button.
Great. Next question. I've seen some people on LinkedIn that seem to share a lot of articles. Should I be doing this as well? If so, how do I determine which articles to share? Excuse me.
Ryan, that's got you all over it.
Sure. So I think my response to that would be yes. Sharing articles is one way that you're putting yourself out there and you're identifying the pieces. You're identifying yourself as a credible resource for whatever skills that you would like to be putting forward. So if you're posting and you're posting about those things that you are trying to gain credibility for, you're certainly elevating yourself as a true authority on those subjects. So I would say don't just post to post, but if you can post meaningful information about your area of expertise, then you will be using LinkedIn to more of its maximum potential, and you will be more often in front of the connections that you're making. If anyone wants to add to that.
Great. I think that's a great summary. Ryan, I think this might be up your alley as well, the next one. Is it better to really drill down to a very specific brand? The person said, I heard you say you should delete endorsements that aren't as relevant as others.
Yeah, well, I guess that really depends on what your goal is. I mean, if there are skills that I could put out there, and for instance, I don't mind working with big data. I find data fascinating at times, but do I want to be known as a person who mines data, or a marketer that's very analytical? That's really not me. I'm more of a creative. So it's a skill that I have that I could bring to the table, but if I look at my long-term goals, it's certainly not sitting in front of Excel spreadsheets or even mining data through CRM. So that's something that maybe I wouldn't want to portray as my strengths, because I don't want it to lead down a path of people wanting to hire me for those things that maybe I'm not as excited to do, or gaining contacts who are really passionate about things that maybe I'm not passionate about. So again, it goes back to your goals, what your goals are for your LinkedIn page. But as the article kind of states, that drilling those skills down, though it's important to be well-rounded, you're using this as a platform most often to really define your personal brand. And if you can do things or have skills in things that aren't what you ultimately want to be known for, then removing them and drilling it down could help it be more successful for you.
I have a comment too. The endorsement thing, I forget the ones you're talking about, all the skills. that I find people, I get presented these things all the time. Would you endorse Ryan for this, this, and this? And what I believe is more important, just and at least personally for me on the site, is those written endorsements. And like Ryan said, she made that point. I made a note from the meeting today to even say this, and she did a great job of covering it this go around, is that you should go out to your group of people and do an endorsement for them. I got blown away by people doing this for me when they go out and just on their own, say something nice about us. That led me to work hard at getting more endorsements. I think Andy's got 20. I think I have about 20 on mine. It's something I haven't farmed as much as I should have lately. But what I do is I actually copy those documents and I give those along with my core value statement to the first. I told you I sent that document out immediately. I also send out testimonials that are coming directly from LinkedIn in a printed document. So I just capture those, put them in a printed document, and send that out. I should have displayed that as well. But again, I'm trying to build trust, and I want people to realize they can trust me with their soul. So to do that, it takes me telling them who I am with my core values. And then secondly, it takes testimonials of those that have used your services, that believe in you, and are willing to say something nice about you. And the best way to get those is to give them away, just like Ryan said.
Great. Thank you, Dick and Ryan. I think that is all the questions that we have for today.
That is great. And I'm going to take over the screen share just for closing out and tell you guys about one or two more things you'd like to probably keep up on. So to figure out how to do that. There we go. Okay. So we just finished the questions and discussion time. And I'd like to kind of mention the next event in Harrisonburg. I'm pretty excited about this. This is coming up in February. Brewing Your Marketing Mix, the Three Brothers story. Maybe many of you have seen the growing beer chain or beer brewery showing up in super chains like Walmart and that sort of thing. The Three Brothers story is a very exciting one. It's based in Harrisonburg. They're a very young brewery, but they've already been recognized nationally more than many have in years of being a brewery. We're going to have Adam Shiflett, one of the original Three Brothers. We're going to have the graphic designer who did all of their branding for all of their different products. And then we're also going to have a JMU professor and possibly one or two of his students who have done a College of Business at JMU case study on the Three Brothers story. So it'll be an exciting time to talk about how they developed themselves and also just kind of the basic premise of what it takes and to be in that business and to kind of understand those things. And what I'm just going to pull up here for you guys is the Central VA AMA page. So it's going to be February 11th, and it's actually going to be 3 to 5. We say 4:30 because really we're going to start a happy hour around then. So there is a cost to the tickets, but that's because we're also going to be providing a beer ticket for anyone who comes to the event. So that way you can try a Three Brothers beer if you want, because Capital Ale House in Harrisonburg has quite a few of their product line. So we're going to have that. Three Brothers, Matt Leach and Dr. Eric Van Steenberg, and we're going to talk about some pretty fun stuff. So I hope you guys can come to the website. You can get here quickly if you hit valleyama.org. This is a fast way to redirect. It'll actually land you on the page where you'll see some of the folks who are on the Valley AMA. And then if you want to just go to events, that's where you can keep up with this event. Then Valley. Then we have the marketing mix. There's using online video, enhancing your website and social outreach. That's going to be an in-person event at the Boar's Head in Charlottesville. That's the Charlottesville AMA. And then we have our premium event, which is what we call the Emmas. This is essentially I guess you could call it the Grammys of marketing for the year.